I want to play a game where we torture some animals.
Full disclosure, for about 10 years, my nickname was Jigsaw, so keep that in mind. Everything's going to start to make sense to you as we unfold. We had to get on board with John Kramer being the protagonist. And how do we do that? Because these people are the most despicable people ever. So it's kind of going back to what we said about Goblin Slayer, where that first episode was so gnarly.
Yeah.
That you had to justify the goblin slaughter. That's what happens here. These people are conning cancer patients.
Yeah, like, I mean, stealing money is bad, but, like, you know, some guy chased my sister in her car once.
What?
Yeah, like, she didn't want to talk to him, like, at the store, and so he started following her.
Oh my
God. Like, down these country roads.
And then he found himself with a helmet on and only 3 minutes to play.
I mean, I'll be honest. If as an adult I got a hold of that guy, like, I don't think I would do anything illegal, but if I did, it would take way more than 3 minutes.
Yeah, fair.
Like, we hang people because we're civilized. What should be done is you break their hips and wait for them to die of dehydration. I feel like the last Saw I saw was Saw 2. And I was like, I don't really want to see a third or a fourth or a fifth. And it turns out I also didn't want to see a Chris Rock of Saw. But, like, I feel like the crime and punishment just don't match. Like, in Saw, like, John Kramer, which I always picture Kramer from Seinfeld whenever we say that.
Yep.
But Jerry, they're robbing cancer patients.
Much different movie if it's him. Oh.
And he imagined himself vacuuming out the eyeballs of a guy for stealing a ring and a watch.
Yep.
And I mean, I do believe in. I mean, I'm not opposed to some corporal punishment. But however, like, statistically, it doesn't, like, prevent crime. It just makes you more likely to do it more violently.
You know, with that,
like, if they had the capital punishment for robbing a bank,
yeah,
you would still get bank robberies. They would just shoot everyone there, so there would be no witnesses. Like, yeah,
that punishment that they had so he imagines there's this guy in the hospital stealing from sick people, and he starts to pick up the watch, wallet, whatever the case, and he imagines that he's in this thing where you either have to break your fingers or get your eyeballs sucked out. Now, that to me seems like the easiest choice out of any Saw trap ever.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't look like this. I mean, I was like, just turn it to 5 in one big motion.
Yeah. And I feel like that would have hurt less if you snapped them all back rather than one at a time.
Yeah, one at a time is definitely way worse than like 5 at a time. Like,
but I mean, even if it was like extra pain and it snapped your hand in half, you know, that's way. The other person, like, later on in the movie, their option is saw your leg off with a frickin' thing that you use to cut clay in 9th grade, or get your head chopped off. Like that.
I mean, she got through her own leg, like, in like less than 30 seconds of work. Like, that was a really good. But, like, everything cuts better in this. Like, when she touched the blade around her neck, like, her hand just opened up immediately. I've used a sharp knife. I didn't get that much work done. Like, I mean, this guy found like a fucking lightsaber blade or something.
Why is she just a pile of clothes? Like, fucking Obi-Wan.
They stole that mannequin from JCPenney. The Chris Rock version of this and this one together. I really feel like our protagonist should not be trying to torture people. He should go into real estate. How does he find these things?
Right.
I mean,
he was an architect as well.
I mean, this guy has some deep Zillow search history going on here. Like, I don't know. I mean, he is like left and right. He's finding these abandoned buildings with power and water and the infrastructure necessary to hang like machinery up.
Yep.
He's finding working glass launching systems.
Yeah. And chain
Industrial,
spools
like,
that suspend people in the air.
he found. I mean, he's got a fucking hydraulic seesaw. What's going on here?
Yeah.
I know he's an architect, but like, this. You remember like how the A team would like be in a barn full of like bolts and then come out with like a tank.
Yeah.
He's got to come out of a Radio Shack with a fucking like rock'em sock'em robot that's 20 feet tall.
That's how
Where do you even source like 35 gallons of blood from?
Right. That was one of my notes. How much blood does he have?
Is there another version of Saw trying to track down the guy that stole all of Mexico's blood supplies? Like, there's like 8,000 people not getting transfusions right now.
That blood goes forever, and maybe it's poorly timed, but
the blood runs longer than John Wick falling down a set of stairs.
Oh God! So the basic premise of the movie, right? We've already we tap danced around it. John Kramer has cancer. Takes place between Saw 1 and 2. Is terminal at this point with a brain tumor, and he finds like these. There's a guy who was in his cancer support group who tells him, "Oh, there's this magical place where you can go. I'm cured. Everything's all better." So he tries it. They rip him off for all his money and bail. He spends the next bit of his life capturing and putting them all in the same room.
Yeah, so I mean, like, we knew it was a scam as soon as like he realized, like, this guy's in the middle of nowhere and he sees the other guy with a scone, and then he's got like a stomach scar for pancreatic cancer. I'm like, yeah, this has got to be a scam, right?
Yep. And I'm glad they didn't forget about him either. Did you catch that as you were walking out?
No, I walked out during the credits. I didn't see. So they actually got the scone guy as well.
Yep.
I was warning about that. I was like, yeah, they didn't catch him.
Maybe
yeah. That's Saw 11.
No, but they string him up and the detective comes back. There's a couple references to previous movies, including Amanda, who's his sidekick. Do you think she's more or less creepy with her Asian schoolboy haircut?
I thought that was like a wig. It's got to be a wig, right?
For the character, yeah. But I think the character's hair is meant to be that. Like for the actress, it's a wig, I should have said.
Yeah, she looks like she stole a Yu-Gi-Oh card. Yeah, there's plenty of tropes in this. Like, they always get the drop on someone. Like, no one ever sees like the person with the pig mask sneaking up on them. Like, she's wearing these like really heavy duty boots. Like, you could have it. Like, I mean, these boots could be used to hammer in a nail. But like an empty bathroom, and like she's managed to sneak around like she's fucking floating.
And she's like the strongest 110-pound girl ever.
Off screen.
Yeah.
On screen, she doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
She just appears behind someone. Like, you think she has like Goku's instant transmission?
Ooh, I like that little crossover. So
yeah, I put in my note here like Steve Jobs is Saw.
I thought they were gonna do like a dog eat dog situation when they had everyone in the rooms, but they just kind of, because typically the traps will be you're in your own room, but they just put everyone in this big room and made them watch each other do the thing, which the ending is very anticlimactic. Because the girl who's the most despicable, who you want to die, seemingly lives at the end.
Yeah, she gets away with it. Like, was he like, "Oh, I'm gonna make you live with it"? Like, no, she
doesn't give a fuck.
I was waiting for like what was waiting for her like outside of the head thing, the little porthole to. You saw like their skin burning, but like I guess once you put your head outside, it stops burning. But yeah, like I mean, they let Gabby off really easy. Like the guy that pretended to be an anesthetologist, he had to cut open his fucking skull and pull out part of his brain, and Gabby had to break her foot.
Now with Gabby, right? when we first see her, she looks like, I don't know, a 14-year-old girl. I'm like, oh, she seems sweet.
Mhm.
And then we see her again after the facade is up, and she looks like a 25-year-old crackhead or meth head or something.
I mean, I assume they just did her makeup really well. Like you can cover a lot of flaws with makeup.
But it just seemingly, she seemed almost twice her own age. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you can cover up some stuff, but to make her look so much different was pretty wild.
Yeah.
Like, is this really the same? Because when they went back to her when it was time to capture her, like, is this really the same girl?
Yeah. I mean, I think you're. I didn't like recognize her right away.
Right.
But also, like their whole thing of like everyone gets a chance, but they just fucking let what's her name murder Gabby. Like we see like they're chained up. They have a switch right there. They could have unchained themselves at any time. And then it's like, oh no, please don't, stomp that. Not that the girl that's passed her test and is now better. The trauma she has endured is going to make her less of a oxyhead. Like,
I would say so.
I don't think being tortured in an abandoned jungle warehouse is going to make you less likely to do drugs. What do you think?
Unless they said, well, if you do drugs again, I'm going to do this again to you. Then it would
Kramer's fucking
be very
dead.
easy.
Like, I mean, okay, here's the thing. Even if you do get caught by Saw and you have to like, use sandpaper to remove all your tattoos or whatever the fuck's going on in the next one, like intellectually, you're probably not going to get sawed again. Like you can commit you've been committing crimes for 30 years. Everyone commits crimes all the time. No one else has been sawed except for you. Like you give it 6 months, you go right back to it. Like, I mean, people will spend 30 years in jail, get out and do some shit again.
That's fair.
And I mean, let's be honest, like some people have it worse in jail than most people on Saw.
I don't know.
I mean, look, all I'm saying is a lot of them are bad, but some of them, like, you would have been fine if you had just like gotten to it and like stuck to it. You gotta stop, like, don't stop and cry. Like, either do it or don't do it.
Yeah.
I want to see someone on Saw go, wait, 3 minutes? I can't cut my head open in 3 minutes. What's the matter? I'm just gonna fucking die here. I'm not gonna. Also, like, cutting your leg off in 3 minutes also is like way too much. Like, they should have like given her like a skill saw, like the saw you pull down with your arm, big round blade, circular saw. Should have given her one of those. Like, at least then you got a fighting chance.
Yeah, the leg thing was just too much. Because especially when she gets to the end, she gets through most of the meat, and then the thing is like catching on the skin and it's pulling the skin up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh my god. It's got to be up there, because then not only does she have to cut her leg off, she has to shove the tube straight into her femur and drain out the marrow. Like, she got through, if you think about it, she got through her leg in like a minute and a half. She screwed around.
Yeah.
And then she still had to drain out the middle of her leg, which.
Yeah, and like now that I think about those things, like I feel like she could have just thrown something on the scale.
Yeah, true.
What are you gonna do? Come down and reset it? Like, no cheating.
Cut your ear off and throw it on the scale.
I mean, she's got shoes on, Dan. Just kick off your shoes.
Yeah, fair. I went a little too dark with it.
I feel like they should have spent more time trying to get out of their situation instead of just like, the guy was really annoying. He was just like screaming the whole time instead of like looking for something sharp within arm's reach. I don't know. Make a flail out of jeans and a chain. Who knows? I don't know what I would have done, but like, these are enterprising people. Like, they're not just off like blowing people for their drug money. They are joining in, in-depth, these guys had to source like YouTube videos and like masks. They had to make an abandoned building look like a surgical center.
Yep.
Like, these are not people that just like fuck around like and just like grab stuff off the shelf. This is an in-depth group of people.
I did want to give the blonde props, the main lady, because she is not fucking around. First, after everything, she tries to talk her way out of it. Like, really? You really trying this? She takes the dead body of the girl so she cuts her leg off, doesn't fill up the scale in time with the marrow in order to keep her head from getting chopped off. So she did all that for nothing. She's laying on the ground with no head, half a leg.
Oh, I got to interrupt you. The headless girl, the thing holding her head in place was a fucking rope. and she's got a bone saw. She could have just used. I mean, she could have used the saw to cut the saw, couldn't she?
I would think so.
And then they come out there with their no guns rule, and she's got like a fucking flail and a reason to fight. Hit them with your marrow juice gun. I don't know, something.
My note about the blonde was she is not fucking around. She takes the what's left of the body of the first girl, cuts her open, takes out the intestines, and uses it, like passes around to everyone, uses it to try and pull the little table over to her, which is like, this chick's pretty badass. But even though she's despicable, I still want to give her credit for that. And the whole time she's like egging people on, like, oh, you got to do it. You got to do it. You can do it. Now that I say it, it's so much more dissatisfying that nothing happened to her. Not only did I want to see her die, but I didn't want to see her die from smoke poisoning. I wanted to see like she deserved the most gruesome death. I don't get it.
Yeah, especially like after she killed Gabby for like no reason.
Mm-hmm. And, so Gabby gets through her trap. She breaks her ankle, her heel, and her palm, like the base of her palm, in order to get out of the shackles. And she's being set on fire by like a jet engine.
Yeah, I didn't understand the logic of doing the foot first, that you'll swing out of the way. Like, you do the arm first, you'll be on the ground. You can just walk away from the thing.
Yeah, and if it adjusts to you, then just go behind it.
Yeah, I mean, I just didn't think, like, why would you want to be dangling from the ceiling for the rest of this?
Yeah, and not only that, even if you were still stuck in front of it, you break your foot and then drop onto your foot. Or you can be let loose and then work on your foot.
Yeah.
Oh God! But the girl ends up
not Gabby. Not Gabby. What's the woman's name?
Her name is Dr. Peterson.
Okay, so Doctor Who's Your Daddy is like telling everyone, oh, come on, get to it. But then she doesn't really seem too upset when they die. You think she's just like, ooh, I'm enjoying this torture.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go and play with my pinto bean after this. Like, I don't know.
Maybe she's gonna join the group for the third one because she really gets off on it.
Yeah,
the third one, the 11th one.
I mean, apparently they knew her personality well enough that, like, we're not just gonna kill these two people. We're going to torture them using a very specific machine that like we set out for them. Like, oh, a seesaw. Yes, I'll use that. Instead of like, hey hubby, beat them, try to shoot them. Oh, the gun's not working. Okay, beat them to death real quick. There's obviously a plane here. We're gonna splatter their brains real quick. Like,
and it was blatantly obvious that neck cancer guy was in on it, but I was hoping he wasn't. Like, can we get one good person? No. Oh.
I'm trying to remember the old Saw movies because like they're trying to make Kramer a morally gray character.
Yeah.
But if I remember correctly, I'm pretty sure the Jigsaw was like fucking like trying to kill police officers just for chasing him, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
So like, I mean, he killed like people that were just like doing, law enforcement jobs.
Yeah. And then they get into like one of the Saw movies. They find out that all of the traps were inescapable. So we get to that point with it, and so this is the first movie where they're trying to put him in like a protagonistic light.
Oh, so this is kind of like a universal reset.
Kinda, yeah. Even
or
though
is he just like delusional? Like, oh, I help people. Don't you feel better, headless corpse?
Yes.
Yes, I feel much better, John. Thank you for saving me from my sins. I'm not going to steal from the liquor store anymore. That's right, liquored up Bob. You're no longer an alcoholic. You're a good person sewn up against my wall.
Yeah, the theory, I guess, is that the brain tumor is large and causing issues upstairs with him. So he's kind of... He throughout all the Saw movies that he's in, he tries to justify his own actions, but this movie is actually trying to justify it for him. So this is the first time with that.
I would say the movie was it was better done than I remember Saw 2 being. It has enough of a story to it that it's not just like I'm not just like sitting there and watching a Disney Epcot Center of like torture porn.
Yep.
I mean, you are, but it doesn't feel like you are. My only thing is that it's a little bit too predictable. They played the music like they were doing something clever, and I would say genuinely nothing was like surprising. It's like,
And
oh, who could have foreseen the cancer treatment being, oh, dun dun dun, you're not really cured. The gun was unloaded. You mean when John Kramer, the brilliant protagonist, put the gun away in sight of the antagonist, it was unloaded? Who could have thought of it?
No, not only did he not unload it, but he he took out the bullet and emptied the gunpowder out of it and put the bullet back. Just unload the gun. It's easier, bro. So there was one thing that I thought they did that was really clever. We go through, we see Gabby's torture, we see the guy cutting his skull open, we see the girl cutting her leg off. And I think at that point, you're kind of like, as the viewer, you're like, why am I rooting for this guy? He's like brutally torturing these people. But then I think that her grabbing the little kid, the gal there, Dr. Peterson, I think that reset my brain to say, okay, this woman is a true piece of shit. So it was like a...
Yeah, but he tortured everyone but her.
Because it was getting to her.
It's so much worse. Like, he's torturing the people that are like... He's torturing, like, the drug addict and the veterinarian. As opposed to, you know, the woman that grabbed a kid just to be a dick about it. I mean, for all we know, these guys are, like, being, you know, mind controlled or something like that. But...
Yep. Or they were like, you join me or we're going to kill your family. Like, that kind of thing.
Yeah. But then when like you survive like the entire volcano thing and, you know, burn everyone alive and throw them off of buildings. Oh, the final guy, after he dangles your girlfriend over a blender or whatever, he gets to like, you know, live and go to prison. I think a lot of times like they get it backwards and they expect us to just like not. They just expect us to like give them like some sort of protagonist points just because they changed the music while it was happening.
Yeah. And they do that for the bloodboard seesaw thing. And, you know, I'm sitting there watching it first, like, man, this is going on for a while. Why? How much blood could there possibly be in Mexico? Like, is he outsourcing from a cartel? And then I started to think, and I literally was, because I was typing in the theater. And, yeah, I turned my screen off and type. And I'm like, who was this meant for? Because there's two people. And then the guy goes, wait a second, who was this meant for? It was just you left. They do this a lot in the Saw movies, and they really want to, even if it doesn't make any sense, they go so hard to try and outsmart the audience to give like this weird twist, which is what they did here. But it's ever since the first one with the when Kramer was actually in the middle of the floor the whole time. Spoilers for fucking Saw 1, but ever since that, and it hit so well, they just try and do it with every movie now.
I'm trying to remember, is when he was in the middle of the floor, is that the scene where like two guys are like chained up in the room with like the blood between them and like there's one cigarette?
Yes.
Yeah, Saw 1 was really good.
Yep.
And this one is not as good, but it's better than Saw 2, I think.
Yeah, and I've seen all of them. Take that for what you will. And I think this is my second favorite Saw movie. So
I could not imagine watching any more Saw movies.
No. And I was the guinea pig for this one because I was going to see it regardless due to me paying for the Regal app and not getting my money's worth since like June.
I mean, I am also not getting my money's worth, but like I feel like going and watching some of the movies would like I would pay extra to not have to watch them. I mean, for horror movies, it's not bad. I'll go 6 out of 10.
Okay. Yeah, I'm right there with you. I liked it a little bit better, but I'm going to go 6.5. All the things we said, it's decent. And if you can stand the Saw gore, then it's worth a watch, especially around Halloween time.
Yeah.
Saw X has a 3.3 out of 5 on Letterboxd and a 73 out of 100 on TMDb. As of today, October 18th, 2023, Saw has made $41.9 million domestically, $24.9 million internationally, for a total of $66.87 million. And this is on a production budget of $13 million, 5.1 times the budget. Say what you will about the Saw movies, but they certainly make their money back.
It's better than most horror movies. I'm just not a fan of horror movies. I feel like they're not done well, and even when they're done well, they're only somewhat enjoyable. But hey, it looks way better than the trailer for The Exorcist. Am I right?
Oh my God, you're not kidding.
When they showed the girl, my first thought was, "Hey, you guys!" I'm like, is that supposed to be scary? Once you get,
we don't know exactly what we're doing next time, but it'll be something.
it will be a thing.
All right. So on that note, we'll catch you guys later.
Later.